Tamils are able to choose their own leadership with neither fear nor favor in their original places of birth. I hope you mark my words. I don't like doing the wrong words. We're not about to display our dexterity of speaking here. In their original places of birth. The international and local media must be allowed to monitor all such activities. I want to elaborate on that. All existing IDP camps must be dismantled and as soon as possible, and those confined in them return to their rightful homes. I said their rightful homes because I hear and read some horrifying stories about what is happening to their properties on their lands in the north and northeastern areas. The international community, especially those involved in humanitarian aid, must be allowed to engage in their work without hindrance. By the way, Congressman, just forgot one thing. I'm also the chairperson of the Solidarity Group for Peace and Justice in Sri Lanka. With all the little experience I have about the sufferings in Sri Lanka and all the little contributions I've done from the time I joined the Solidarity work in South Africa, this forum grows from strength to strength, and rest assured, from our side, not only the African National Congress as a political organization and still as a liberation movement, but the very government it is driving will stand by the Tamils until we say Sri Lanka is normal.
Can I welcome the formation of the Global Tamil Forum? I think it's extremely positive development. I think your conference here today is extremely positive, and I'm keen, both personally and for my party, to work with you over the weeks, months and years to come as you embark on your struggle to bring the global Tamil diaspora and its influence, working with the international community to get peace and justice on the island of Sri Lanka. And I want to pay tribute to the Tamils who've said that the struggle, the violent struggle, is now a struggle of the past, and the struggle now will use non-violent means and will demand that the international community is on your side. And I and my party have been determined that what we believe were war crimes should be investigated. I think the British government have responded well on this, but we will keep them to the mark on this. So let's be clear, in case the Sri Lankan government isn't clear, it's not just the Liberal Democrats, it's not just the British government, but it's the United States State Department. Their report of the Office of War Crimes Issues was unequivocal on this issue. The United Nations Commission of Human Rights was unequivocal on this issue. So it's the international community, in a neutral, legal and reasonable way, saying that we have to have the crimes of the past dealt with. And there is another issue which I think is immediate, which I've raised continually with the British government, and that is the issue of land rights in the north and east of the island. When there is violence, when there is suffering, when there is disease, when there is malnutrition, when there is homelessness, perhaps it seems odd to talk about land rights. But there is a danger that if we don't talk about them now, actions will happen which will prevent peace coming more quickly, which will prevent resolution coming more quickly, which will prevent resolution and reconciliation happening as soon as possible. We cannot allow land grabs. We cannot allow land to be taken from the Tamil people just because the President Rajapaksa and others are going to turn a blind eye to that. I believe one of the urgent and immediate calls from this conference, from the international community, must be that an independent international commission is set up to look at all claims to land. Legal and proper way is used to establish the claims of different people. I have been pleased that the European Union has acted recently. And I want to pay tribute, although there's not the same party, I want to pay tribute to the Labour government and all governments across the European Union for the strong position they've taken on human rights abuses and withdrawing the GSP plus trade concessions from Sri Lanka. This is an example of what the international community can do if we stand up against human rights abuses. The need for political reform in Sri Lanka is urgent. What I'm going to say to you now, that we will judge the Sri Lankan government by its political reforms, by its judicial reforms, and by the way it allows media freedom in its country. If it does not come up to the mark on these issues, it can expect further moves by the international community. But looking ahead to the future, I've talked about the past, I've talked about the current situation. What about the future? Because that is what your conference is about today. And we can look forward to a Sri Lanka, to a Tamil community globally, and to a Tamil community on the island of Sri Lanka that has all its rights upheld, whether it's rights on a human rights basis, on civil rights basis, or on the rights to self-determination.
Today, and I'm delighted to be here with you this afternoon and honoured to participate in this inaugural Global Tamil Forum conference, and to do so with so many of my colleagues in the House of Commons. And I'm very pleased that the Foreign Secretary, who I call the current Foreign Secretary, was here this morning as well, because this is, as you were saying, Mr. Chairman, an occasion which all British political parties have wanted to support and take part in. And I want to warmly return the welcome, especially to those of you who have travelled long distances. I see the flags of many nations represented on the desks here in front of us. And I think in some cases you have come all the way from Sri Lanka. And we are pleased that you have chosen to hold today's significant event here in London. Your community has support in our Parliament from all parties across the political spectrum, as is evidenced by the large number of MPs who have addressed your conference during the course of the day. And we all congratulate you on the establishment of the Global Tamil Forum, which unites your diaspora from around the world. I want to extend my gratitude too to the organising committee and the British Tamil Forum team for their efforts in bringing about today's important event and their kind invitation to say a few words on behalf of the Conservative Party. Our leader, David Cameron, has asked me to convey his best wishes to you. We both share a great appreciation of the significant contribution of the Tamil diaspora to many aspects of our society here in Britain. That contribution, and indeed that success, is built upon enterprise, community, family, and taking responsibility for oneself. These are values that the Conservative Party also holds dear, and that we will seek to advance if we are elected to form the next government in a few weeks' time. So I believe there is a natural affinity between Tamils in Britain and the Conservative Party. For this reason, we strongly urge the government of Sri Lanka to resolve the difficult political issues that remain and take immediate steps to address the concerns of the Tamil people and those of other minority groups. Meaningful political reform and reconciliation should be an urgent priority, and this reform will only hold legitimacy if the democratic aspirations of all Sri Lankans, regardless of ethnicity, can be fulfilled. We believe